Hello and welcome back to the channel. In our last video, we have covered how to control the flow of our programs using loops and conditional statements. Today, we are moving on to one of the most important concepts in Python, functions. Functions allows us to recognize our code, make it reusable, and keep it clean. Let's start with the basics. A function is a block of reusable code that performs a specific task. Think of it as a mini program inside your main program. To define a function in Python, we use the def keyword followed by the function name and parentheses. Here, we define a simple function called greet that prints a welcome message. But how do we actually run the code inside a function? We do that by calling the function. When we call greet, Python jumps to the function, executes the code inside, and prints hello, welcome to Python on the screen. Now, let's make our functions more flexible by adding arguments. Arguments are values that you pass into a function to customize its behavior. Here, we define a function greet that takes one argument, name. When we call this function, we need to pass a value for name. In this case, we pass Alice as an argument and Python prints hello Alice, welcome to Python. Functions can also take multiple arguments. Let's say we want to greet someone by their name and age. Now, the greet function takes both name and age as arguments. When we call the function, we pass values for both. Python prints hello Alice, you are 30 years old. You can now greet anyone and tell them their age. What if we don't want to pass all arguments every time? That's where default arguments come in. You can assign a default value to an argument, and if it's not provided, Python will use the default. Here, the age argument has a default value of 25. So we don't pass an age. Python will assume the person is 25 years old. When we call greet Bob as an argument, Python prints hello Bob, you are 25 years old. But when we call greet Alice as a name and 30 as an age, it uses the age we provided. On screen output show hello Bob, you are 25 years old, and hello Alice, you are 30 years old. In Python, you can also pass arguments using their names, not just their position. These are called keyword arguments. Here, we specify that name is Charlie and age is 28. Keyword arguments make your code cleaner, especially when dealing with many arguments. On-screen output shows, hello Charlie, you are 28 years old. Functions can also return values to the place where they were called. Let's create a function that returns the square of a number. Here, square function takes a number and returns its square using double asterisk operator. When we call square of 5, Python calculates 5 squared, which is 25, and return it. We store the result in the result variable and then print it. Did you know that Python functions can return multiple values at once? Let's see an example. Here, get underscore person returns both a number and an age. When we call the function, we can capture both values. Python returns the name and age as a tuple, and we can assign them to a separate variables. This is very useful when you need to return more than one value. Now let's talk about something special, Lambda functions. These are small anonymous functions that can be defined in a single line. A Lambda function can take any number of arguments but can only have one expression. In this example, we define a Lambda function add that takes two numbers, x and y, and returns their sum. We can then call the Lambda function just like any other function. Lambda functions are useful when you need a quick, short function without going through the hassle of defining it using def. Let's dive a bit deeper with scope. In Python, variables inside a function are local to that function, meaning they can't be accessed outside of it. Here, the variable message exists only inside the greet function. If we try to print it outside the function, Python raises an error. On screen, error message shows name error, name message is not defined. To make a variable accessible everywhere, you can declare it as global. In this case, message is defined outside the function, making it a global variable. accessible both inside and outside the function. Closures. Closures are more advanced topic. They allow functions to remember values from their enclosing scope even after the other function has finished execution. Here, inner underscore func is a closure because it remembers the message from outer underscore func even after outer underscore func has returned. On-screen output shows hello Python. Finally, let's talk about recursion. A recursive function is one that calls itself in order to solve a problem. Here is an example of a recursive function that calculates the factorial of a number. Recursion breaks a problem into smaller instances of the same problem. In this case, factorial of 5 calls itself until n becomes 1 and the product of the numbers is returned. On-screen output shows 120. And there you have it, a comprehensive look at functions in Python, from basic function definitions to advanced topics like recursion and closures. I hope you now have a solid understanding of how to work with functions. Don't hesitate to play around with these concepts in your code. It's the best way to learn. If you enjoy this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel for more in-depth Python tutorials. And as always, thank you for listening so patiently and staying with me till the end. Love, take care and always keep spreading positivity.